Welcome to Buddha's Odyssey, your sanctuary for unlocking inner peace and limitless potential. Have you ever stopped to wonder how the thoughts you feed your mind today shape the reality you'll experience tomorrow? Picture this: your mind is like the lens through which you see the world, clean and polished. It reveals beauty, harmony, and opportunities. But left clouded with negativity, it distorts everything, filling your days with doubt and fear. As the Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. In this video, we're exploring 7 life-changing lessons, inspired by the timeless wisdom of Buddhist teachings. These lessons will guide you to reclaim control of your thoughts, align your actions with peace and purpose, and transform challenges into stepping stones for growth. Along the way, we'll dive into captivating stories, practical tools, and modern-day insights to show how these teachings apply to your life right now. Stay with us, because what you learn today could change how you see the world forever. Let's begin this transformative journey together. Lesson 1: Thoughts are the seeds of reality. A foundational teaching in Buddhism that highlights how our mental landscapes determine the lives we create. Every thought acts as a seed, and the type of seed you nurture will dictate the fruits you harvest. When we choose to plant seeds of kindness, patience, and understanding, our lives naturally blossom with these qualities, enriching not just our relationships but also our inner sense of fulfillment. However, the same is true for negativity. If we allow anger, envy, or greed to take root, these harmful emotions grow unchecked, spreading suffering and inner turmoil. The analogy of 2 farmers vividly illustrates this principle. One farmer carefully sows wheat, waters it diligently, and removes any weeds threatening the crops. As a result, he enjoys a bountiful harvest, one that sustains him through the seasons. In contrast, the second farmer, indifferent and inattentive, neglects his land and lets it be overtaken by weeds. His neglect leads to scarcity and hardship. The lesson is simple but profound. Our minds operate in the same way. The seeds we choose to nurture, through thought and intention, will ultimately shape our reality. Recognizing this, Buddhism places immense importance on mindfulness and mental discipline. By observing our thoughts without attachment, we create an opportunity to discern their nature. Are they nourishing, or are they toxic? Each moment of awareness becomes a chance to uproot negative thoughts and redirect our mental energy toward positivity, compassion, and growth. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation or conscious breathing, allow us to cultivate this awareness. Imagine sitting quietly, watching your thoughts come and go like clouds passing through the sky. Instead of clinging to a thought or judging it, you simply notice it and let it drift away. This practice empowers you to consciously decide which thoughts to let take root, ensuring your mental garden is fertile ground for personal growth and happiness. Lesson 2: Choose your inputs wisely. The mind, much like a sponge, absorbs whatever it is surrounded by, be it clarity or chaos. In Buddhism, this concept is tied to the practice of guarding the sense doors, which means being mindful of what we allow into our consciousness through our senses, what we see, hear, and engage with. Just as a healthy diet nourishes the body, the quality of what we consume mentally directly impacts our inner peace and emotional well-being. Let me tell you a story. There once was a young monk who approached his teacher with a heavy heart. He had been meditating diligently for months, yet his mind was constantly restless, and peace seemed further away with each passing day. Frustrated, he confided, "Master, I meditate for hours, yet my thoughts remain scattered, and I feel no closer to tranquility. What am I doing wrong?" The teacher smiled knowingly and led the monk to a nearby river. They stood at the edge of the water, where the river's surface rippled with waves. The teacher handed the monk a bucket and said, "Fill this with water from the river." The young monk did as instructed, but as soon as the bucket was submerged, It was filled not just with water but also with mud, leaves, and debris. The teacher then said, "Now, go to the spring at the top of the hill and fill it there." When the monk followed this instruction, the bucket filled with crystal clear water. The teacher explained, "Your mind is like this bucket. If you surround yourself with gossip, distractions, and negativity, your mind will mirror the muddy water, clouded and restless. But if you immerse it in pure, uplifting surroundings, it will reflect the clarity of the spring." Peace cannot grow in a mind cluttered with chaos. This story teaches us a simple yet profound truth: what you expose your mind to shapes the person you become. Reflect on the media you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the environments you frequent. Are they nourishing your inner peace, or are they sowing seeds of doubt, negativity, and distraction? Instead of filling your mind with noise, sensationalized news, toxic social media, or endless gossip, curate your inputs to align with your values and aspirations. Replace idle scrolling with reading uplifting literature or listening to teachings of the Dharma. Spend time in nature, where simplicity and calm prevail. Engage in conversations that inspire growth rather than fuel drama. Over time, as you choose inputs that promote peace and clarity, you'll notice a transformation. Your mind becomes calmer, your perspective sharper, and your emotional resilience stronger. Like the bucket filled at the spring, your inner landscape will reflect the purity of what you intentionally allow into it, fostering a life of harmony and fulfillment. Lesson 3. Break free from autopilot thinking. Breaking free from autopilot thinking is a transformative Buddhist teaching that invites us to reclaim control over our minds. Many of us live reactively, responding to situations based on ingrained patterns shaped by past experiences, traumas, or societal conditioning. These automatic responses often serve to protect us but can also trap us in cycles of negativity and limit our potential for growth. Mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, offers us the tools to step out of these loops and take charge of our mental state. Imagine a common scenario: you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. The car ahead of you isn't moving, and frustration bubbles up. Your immediate impulse might be to honk, curse, or let the stress consume you. But what if, instead, you paused for a moment, took a deep breath, and asked yourself, "Is my frustration solving this problem?" By simply observing your reaction and choosing to let go of it, you transform a stressful situation into an opportunity for calm and patience. This approach applies to countless moments in life. Perhaps a colleague criticizes your work unfairly, and your first instinct is to defend yourself angrily. Instead of reacting impulsively, mindfulness teaches you to pause, acknowledge the emotion, and consider a more thoughtful response. This pause, however brief, is where your power lies. It's the space between stimulus and response that allows for conscious choice. Every time you interrupt an autopilot reaction, you're retraining your mind to respond with clarity and compassion rather than habit. Think of it like steering a ship. Instead of letting the unpredictable winds of emotions drive you off course, mindfulness gives you the tools to hold the wheel firmly and navigate toward your desired destination. Over time, these small moments of mindful interruption become habits, creating a life that is guided by intention rather than reactivity. By practicing mindfulness in everyday situations, you'll find that anger, frustration, and impatience lose their grip on you. The more you practice pausing and observing your thoughts, the more control you'll gain over your mind, allowing it to serve as a source of peace rather than chaos. Start small, whether it's in traffic, during a heated discussion, or when faced with a minor inconvenience. Each pause is a step toward mastering your mind and living a more intentional, harmonious life. Lesson 4. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Reframe challenges as opportunities is another profound Buddhist teaching that shifts how we perceive and respond to suffering. In Western thought, Challenges are often seen as obstacles to be overcome, sources of stress, or even failures. Buddhism, however, presents suffering not as an enemy but as a teacher. This perspective can be life-changing. Suffering, in the Buddhist view, is an inevitable part of existence. The key lies in how we approach it. Consider the life of the Buddha as a powerful example. Before achieving enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama willingly left behind a life of royal privilege to confront the realities of human suffering. He faced hunger, physical discomfort, and emotional turmoil during his ascetic practices, but these hardships were not in vain. They taught him resilience, humility, and the profound truth of the middle way, a path of balance between indulgence and deprivation. His challenges became the crucible in which his wisdom was forged. This teaching invites us to reframe our own struggles with the same mindset. When life presents difficulties, instead of resisting them or succumbing to despair, we can ask ourselves, what is this trying to teach me? For example, losing a job might initially feel devastating, but it could be an opportunity to rediscover your passions, pursue a more meaningful career, or develop resilience in the face of uncertainty. Similarly, conflicts in relationships can serve as mirrors, reflecting areas where we need to grow in patience, communication, or forgiveness. By embracing challenges with an open heart and a willingness to learn, suffering transforms from a source of pain into a stepping stone for growth and understanding. This mindset doesn't eliminate hardship but allows us to approach it with equanimity, making it easier to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs. Each challenge becomes a chance to cultivate inner strength and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. In doing so, we align more closely with the teachings of Buddhism, which encourage us to see life's difficulties not as burdens but as opportunities to grow into our highest potential. Lesson 5. Cultivate daily gratitude. This is a practice that holds transformative power in Buddhism, as it offers an antidote to the restlessness and dissatisfaction often fueled by endless craving. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is already present, creating a sense of contentment that is not dependent on external circumstances. In a world where desires often drive our actions, gratitude serves as a grounding force that reminds us of the richness of the present moment. One simple yet effective exercise is to begin each morning by noting 3 things you're grateful for. These can be as small as the warmth of sunlight streaming through a window, the comforting taste of a morning cup of tea, or the smile of a loved one. Even during difficult times, this practice acts as a gentle reminder that amidst challenges, blessings still exist. For example, someone navigating a tough work situation might express gratitude for the support of a friend or the opportunity to learn resilience. Over time, this daily ritual trains the mind to naturally gravitate toward positivity, helping to break the cycle of dissatisfaction and restless wanting. The Buddha taught that true happiness arises not from acquiring more but from appreciating what already is. Gratitude, therefore, becomes a tool for cultivating joy and reducing attachment, allowing us to embrace life with a lighter, freer spirit. Lesson 6. Harness the power of visualization. Visualization in Buddhism is not idle daydreaming, it's a purposeful mental training tool that transforms how we think and act. By vividly imagining ourselves embodying qualities such as compassion, patience, or resilience, we plant seeds in the mind that grow into real-world behaviors. This practice is rooted in the understanding that the mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. What we focus on, we become. Allow me to share a story with you. In a quiet monastery nestled high in the mountains, a young monk was plagued by impatience. Every task, no matter how small, felt like a race against time. His frustration was evident in his short-tempered responses and the restless energy that made it difficult for him to sit still during meditation. Seeking guidance, he approached his teacher, who listened carefully before assigning him a unique practice. Each night, the teacher said, Sit in meditation and imagine yourself as a river flowing calmly and steadily, unbothered by rocks or branches in its path. Visualize yourself responding to challenges with patience and grace, as though nothing can disturb your flow. Initially, the monk was skeptical. How could merely imagining himself as patient help him overcome his deeply ingrained habits? But he trusted his teacher and began the practice. Night after night, he closed his eyes and pictured himself facing frustrating scenarios, a villager speaking rudely to him, a novice spilling tea on his robe, or a storm delaying his travels. In each scenario, he visualized his response as calm and compassionate, his mind steady like the river he imagined. Weeks turned into months, and a transformation began to take shape. One day, during a particularly chaotic temple ceremony, a novice accidentally dropped a tray of offerings, spilling rice and water everywhere. The young monk, instead of reacting with irritation as he once might have, instinctively knelt to help clean up, smiling warmly at the flustered novice. He realized later that he hadn't had to force himself to respond this way. It came naturally, as though the patience he had visualized had become part of who he was. This story highlights the immense power of visualization. By imagining yourself as the person you wish to be, you align your mind with your aspirations and bridge the gap between intention and action. Visualization allows you to rehearse your ideal self, strengthening the neural pathways that make those behaviors more accessible in real life. Whether you aim to cultivate compassion, resilience, or inner peace, vividly picture yourself embodying these qualities. Imagine the tone of your voice, the expression on your face, and the feelings in your heart as you act with kindness and strength. Visualization isn't about escaping reality, it's about shaping it. When you practice this regularly, you're not just imagining a better version of yourself, you're creating it. Like the monk, you'll find that the qualities you visualize gradually become second nature, enabling you to face life's challenges with a calm, compassionate spirit. Over time, the mind becomes a mirror of the aspirations you hold, transforming your inner world and the reality around you. Lesson 7. Practice self-compassion. Practice self-compassion lies at the heart of Buddhist philosophy, emphasizing that kindness and understanding must begin within before they can extend outward. Often, we are our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and judging our imperfections mercilessly. This relentless self-criticism not only creates unnecessary suffering but also diminishes our capacity to offer genuine compassion to others. The Buddha taught that loving kindness, or metta, starts with oneself, forming the foundation for a more compassionate and peaceful world. Consider the concept of compassion fatigue, a phenomenon commonly experienced by caregivers, healthcare workers, and those who dedicate their lives to supporting others. Take, for example, a nurse working long hours in a busy hospital. Day after day, she gives her all to her patients, listening to their concerns, comforting their families, and tending to their physical needs. Yet, over time, the emotional weight of constantly caring for others begins to take a toll. She feels drained, irritable, and disconnected from her purpose. Despite her best intentions, her ability to offer compassion diminishes because she has neglected to care for herself. This example underscores a vital truth: you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you deplete your emotional and mental reserves by constantly giving without replenishing, you'll reach a point where compassion feels like a burden rather than a gift. Self-compassion is the antidote to this fatigue, offering a way to restore balance and sustain your capacity to care for others. Begin by practicing affirmations during meditation. Repeat phrases like, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace." Start with yourself, and only when you feel replenished, extend these wishes to others, friends, colleagues, strangers, or even those who challenge you. This intentional practice reminds you that your well-being is just as important as anyone else's. Forgiveness is another critical aspect of self-compassion. Many of us carry the weight of guilt or regret, allowing it to cloud our present and limit our potential for growth. Buddhist teachings view forgiveness not as condoning wrongdoing but as an act of liberation. Forgive yourself for past mistakes, acknowledging that imperfection is part of the human experience. By letting go of guilt and shame, you create space for healing and self-renewal. The Buddhist teaching of anatta, or non-self, reinforces the importance of self-compassion. It reminds us that our identities are not fixed. We are not defined by our failures or past actions. Instead, we are ever-changing beings with the capacity to learn, grow, and transform. By seeing ourselves as fluid rather than static, we can let go of self-judgment and embrace the freedom to evolve. Self-compassion isn't selfish, it's the foundation for sustaining kindness toward others. When you treat yourself with patience and understanding, you create an inner reservoir of strength, allowing you to approach life's challenges with a steady and compassionate heart. For those in caregiving or support roles, this practice is especially vital. It ensures that your capacity for compassion remains abundant and authentic. In practicing self-compassion, you learn to navigate life with grace, resilience, and an open heart. This mindset not only transforms how you relate to yourself but also enhances your ability to genuinely connect with and support others. Remember, every act of kindness you offer to yourself is a step toward a more peaceful and compassionate world. As we close this journey on Buddha's Odyssey, remember that your mind is not just a passive observer, it is the architect of your reality. When you consciously choose to feed it positivity, wisdom, and compassion, you're not just transforming your own life, you're creating ripples of peace that touch everyone around you. Life will always present challenges, but with the right mindset, even struggles can become stepping stones to growth and understanding. Every moment is an opportunity to plant seeds of kindness, gratitude, and self-compassion. So choose wisely. If these insights sparked something within you, share this video with someone who needs it, and join our community by subscribing to Buddha's Odyssey. Together, let's explore the timeless truths that lead to inner peace and lasting happiness. Until next time, may your journey be filled with light, wisdom, and the unshakable calm of a peaceful mind.